Well, now Gabe left us. I was just going to talk to him, but he walked away. Well, while Facebook's letting everybody know we're here. So yeah, you couldn't see so you came back and watched us talking about you last week, Gabe?
I did. I thought I would enjoy a relax instead of.
But you had to listen to me talking about Yellowface, which I can't stop talking about that book.
It's a conversation starter for sure.
It's I think I might need to have a conversation with Deb, because you talked about earlier that Deb wanted to have, it's like I might have to have a conversation with her. There's some of us at the bookstore that have read it that are just like all about it.
Oh, good. Yeah. It's a book. It got a lot of love early on pre-pub. It's been moving right along.
Yeah.
It's completely different from Babel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But her writing makes it, I never did read Babel, which makes me want to go read it, because I think that her writing is just so compelling, the way that she writes a story, that I mean, I was in on this one, like page 2. I was like, oh, I'm so in on this.
She creates a good world.
Yeah.
And didn't Babel just come out? I mean, isn't this very soon after Babel?
Yeah. It was like like 5 months, 6 months apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something she had to get off her chest, apparently.
I'm thinking it seems like it came out kind of in one fell
You're right.
swoop. I have a feeling
Very naturally.
I don't think this book took a lot of there weren't a lot of post-its and plotting.
Yeah.
Just put your head down and write. Write what you know.
From your experience, yes.
Write what you know.
There might have been a little anger typing going on. Don't know. But yeah, it was good.
Anger time. I mean, Rebecca doing all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure. For sure. She's no, it's great. And Andrea, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, I've been rage typing on my time away.
But do we have a book? Do we have a book we can look forward to coming from you?
Yeah.
And Tom, you'll be happy to know that I watched a Mike Nichols movie last night.
I am very happy. Can you give me a hint, or are you just going to tell me? Early or late?
Anne Margaret.
Oh, Carnal Knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh,
good movie, right?
It's a good movie, but it's just so of a time and a place. I don't think it could be made today.
I was gonna say it probably didn't age well.
For sure. Yeah.
No, because the things that those boys were looking to do happens in high school now, not in college.
That's true.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, Andrea and Gabe, you weren't here last week when I talked about Gabe, you watched it. So Tom, did you go watch that Apple documentary on 1971 music?
I haven't done it yet. No, I haven't done it yet. I have to.
You have to. I mean, my husband and I are addicted to it now, because I don't even know how many there are. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of, it's like they're 45-minute segments.
Wow. I will do it, because I'm totally into that.
Oh, Tom, you're going to be in heaven.
What are these? What's the series called?
It's on Apple TV. It's called 1971.
The year that music changed everything.
The year that music changed everything, or the year that music, I can't remember the subtitle, something like that. But it's really good.
Is that the year that Hunky Dory came out? I think it is, right?
Yeah. So it's okay. So David Bowie. I'm sorry. We'll get to books in a minute. Sorry, everybody. This is like, I swear to God, we're gonna do. But David Bowie sang Changes at how do you say Glastonbury? Glastonbury.
Yeah.
They put him on at like 5 a.m, and there were like maybe 20 people on the grass out there, because it was like this music festival. He was an unknown at the time, and the first time he sang Changes.
Oh my God.
It was insane. You hear in the background like 3 people clapping.
Yeah. that record is so great, and it sounds like it could have been made yesterday. It's just so amazing. But
it's just everybody in this at the time period. So they put it in with what politically was going on across the world, United States, across the world. It was just, it's fantastic.
Well, so I have 2 things to say. One, Carnal Knowledge, also 1971. I just looked it up.
Okay.
And I saw Neil Young on Friday night. So Neil Young must be somehow, I mean, he was busy.
No, he wrote Ohio.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wrote Ohio immediately after the Kent
That's right.
the Kent
They-
campus shooting. So he wrote Ohio, right? No, he's in the first episode.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay,
all right, we'll get to
I need to check those out.
it's really good. I mean, all of us with the gray hairs.
I was turning 12 that year, and I remember the music a lot, man. It's always
Oh
funny to
yeah.
take me
I mean,
like-
I was and just like Elton John's at Tower Records, like going through it's just like that was the Tower Sunset Boulevard was the Tower Records
Right.
that we would go to, and like
Yeah.
yeah, it was really good. All right, we better get to book recommendations. So it's gonna go Tom. No, like I should do that, Tom, just to mess with you for coming
Today's
in
opposite
late.
day? Is that what it
This is today's opposite day.
is?
So Gabe, Andrea, Tom, Gabe, take it away.
All right. I got a big book to share with you all
We
today,
like big books.
or be out tomorrow. Brace yourselves.
Okay, I'm ready.
Important book, The Librarianist by Patrick DeWitt.
Ooh, is it a big one? Because the last time he wrote was not.
The
It's a
last
big-
one he wrote was not big one. I'm talking like, not fat books.
Oh.
I'm talking about major publication event.
This is an event.
I'm thinking, yes, we're thinking
Yeah.
big here. This is one
Yeah.
of those. This is what
'Cause
America's been waiting on.
French Exit was one of my favorite books.
French Exit, so much fun. One of Seth's favorites is still on his staff recommends over at Book Catapult.
Yep.
It was a book that took off by itself. Then it got, I think, a book club like a Breeze or a Jenna or something. But it did really, really well. And so people are waiting on The Librarianist. And it's a book, somewhere somebody compared it to Stoner, where not a whole lot happens. It's well told and things. But I think there's a little more going on. I think the Washington Post said sort of the same thing. But everybody else really loved it. And the readers have been loving this book. It was an Indie Next pick, which means it was a top book pick from the booksellers around the country, independent booksellers. And we start off with our old retired ex-librarian, Bob Comet. He's doing his daily walk in Portland, Oregon, where he lives, and he runs across this confused woman, 72-year-old woman, confused at the local 7-Eleven. And he takes her back to the assisted living facility where she lives, and he finds that they have a library. And so he decides to spend his waning years working in this library of this assisted living facility for older folks. And so that's where the book takes off. And then it goes back in time. And the other plot arc is a young Bob Comet, post World War II. He runs away from home and like joins a circus and has this really interesting life in this very interesting period of American history, the post-war years in America. We grew up a lot intellectually and scientifically, and we made a lot of leaps forward coming out of the war. So he's at a real interesting point in time in civil rights and stuff. So we find Bob in the middle of this world, and it's a different kind of Bob from the early Bob that we see, but still very much the same Bob. He kind of sticks to himself, minds his own business, and is an observer, but as much a participant as an observer in many ways, which very gently told. Patrick DeWitt's got, like I talk about Kevin Wilson and the John Irvings there and Tyler's authors who create these worlds, create these characters that are a little bit off center, and you still are very believable characters, and they're very real characters, and they always affect you. And I think with anything, yes, plot is a big deal, but the characters that are created, they're the ones that stay with you. I mean, a good plot's a good plot, and beautiful words are beautiful words, and you find yourself underlining things. But a good character, they just jump in your head. So this is the kind of book that's going to be jumping in your head down the road.
Nobody does it better. He's so good. He's just one of those that I can't wait for this. And so Beth, there's lots of good stuff going on in the comments. So I've been reading the comments. So the Sisters Brothers was his too, right?
Sisters Brothers was the first book we published. He had done a smaller book with somebody, maybe up in the Pacific Northwest or Canada, because he's Canadian.
Okay.
But yeah, Sisters Brothers was such a fun body Western. It came, I grew up, like we were talking about 71. I grew up in the era of these, where the Western was dying off. They were lampooning Westerns, they were skewering Westerns, and there were these body, funny, comedic, over the top Westerns that I grew up watching and reading. Bobby
Blazing
Jack Smith.
Saddles.
Yeah. And there was TV shows, and I remember reading a book, Bobby Jack Smith, You Dirty Coward, which was like my first like sex scene. I was like, whoa, like 12 years old.
This is better than the magazine.
So that's kind of where that feels like. It really took me to that point in time in those books that I read that were really outlandish characters, and everything he's written has been really good. There's that he's written.
Yeah, he is so good. Just, I mean, absolutely cannot wait to get my hands on this one. Okay, my mouse is being really annoying. So if I'm slow on getting to the comments, sorry. Got to figure out my right click on my mouse later. Okay, Andrea, save me.
Okay. I want to talk about Quitter's Paradise. This is by Alicia Chang.
Ooh.
This is a debut novel. This is out on SJP Lit, for one of the imprints from Zando. SJP is, of course, Sarah Jessica Parker. Like, she doesn't have anything else to do. She also has a publishing imprint, and she's the acquiring editor. So this is for readers of Crying in H Mart, for sure. So it's along that line. And basically, a young millennial is doing everything in her power to avoid the reality of her mother's recent death, and the blow up of her family. There's estrangement at every turn. But it becomes increasingly clear that her own story is inextricable from theirs, even though she doesn't want that to be the case. And sometimes blood is thicker than water, and that's what she finds out here. But with excellent writing. It's dark and funny, but not so dark that it turns you off. The humor definitely propels this story forward. Let's see, let's look at the, it was an NPR Critics Summer Pick, a Michelle Obama's Reach Higher Summer Reading List Pick, a Good Morning America Pick of the Month. And so we think this is going to get even more attention as it moves out into the world. And this is just this is a good summer read, I think. And if you're not a millennial and you want to know a little bit more about the mindset and that cohort, as they would say, this is the book for you. This is the summer book for you, A Quitter's Paradise. Alicia Chang, keep an eye out for this one. I have a feeling about her. This is a $27.95 hardcover, and it was out earlier this month, so everything is good.
I've been seeing it everywhere. I've been seeing lots of just great reviews.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it pop up all over the place. But speaking of some of your
good cover too.
Great cover. Speaking of some of your other titles, though, Barbara's on here and she started the postcard, which she thinks is excellent. And she finally finished Fresh Water for Flowers. Yes, Barbara, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's one of my favorites in a long time too. I love that book.
Yeah, it's really so charming and great.
It's just so well done. It was just so well done, and it's such a good book club book. I mean, it's just
totally. It's great for discussions for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, and Tom, don't want to leave you out. Beth, they're all here. We haven't talked about Mike Nichols. Beth was commenting on here. We haven't talked about Mike Nichols in so long. It was nice to hear about Mike Nichols.
Nice callback. Thank you, Andrea. I've been missing those.
I know. All right, Tom, what do you got?
Well, first, this week, Rebecca Mackay has a great newsletter. Do you ever read that?
Okay, somebody commented.
And this week, Beth Doherty got another shout out from Rebecca Mackay because it was a newsletter about different ways authors can name characters, and one of them is to auction it off.
It was somebody in the comment section actually read Rebecca's newsletter and is telling Beth in the comments that she's in the
Exactly.
newsletter.
I know. It's a fantastic newsletter in general. I mean,
Well,
it makes you think. She had a whole one about endings, like how different kinds of endings. There was a whole series about how authors end books, and she gives examples.
no,
and
she's
how
so smart.
naming.
And if you don't follow her on Twitter, follow her on Twitter.
Follow her on Twitter. Yes, 100%.
Because she's 100%, because she just no hold bar. I mean, she just like lets it rip.
Yeah, honest, smart, and
Oh, good.
yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
Twitter's a little bit of a whatever. We can have a conversation later about Twitter.
Yeah, right.
The last few days. Oh my God, I know
Yeah,
more about
right.
I know more about censorship and what do they call it? That's scraping. What do they call it?
Oh,
Where
I
they-
know. I don't really understand what's happening, but you'll fill me in.
Yeah, it's a little nuts. Okay, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I've got 3 paperbacks that are on sale tomorrow. So all different kinds of readers. The first one is San Diego Romance, Kiss
Yep.
Me, Mi Amor, which is the follow-up to Ramon and Julieta, which was last year. And
Mhm.
so it's a great prep. These are great. It's a great series. So you've got they're based on Shakespeare plays. So Romeo and Juliet was the last one. This is Taming of the Shrew. And so Carolina is the main character, and she grew up picking strawberries in Santa Maria, but now she's a very successful Latina farm owner, and she has no time for romance until through a series of unexpected or expected, not coincidences, but kind of she's trying to please her her family, which is very much in her, wants to be over involved in her life. And she ends up with a guy who she's been trying to avoid because he represents the sort of the big restaurant chain. Anyway, these are set in this one's Santa Maria and La Jolla and Encinitas, getting great early reviews. PW says, this refreshing, nuanced tale captivates, exploring issues of racial identity, immigrant culture, and breaking free from abusive dynamics, and offering tasty descriptions of tacos along the way. So it's these are just fun summer reads, and it's out tomorrow. Kiss Me, Mi Amor.
And she is one of those that you don't really have to like. You know, it helps if you know the areas, but you don't really have to. It's just like it's just a
kind
fun,
of fun if you do.
Fun if you do, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, she writes a fun book that way.
Yeah,
So,
and they're paperback originals.
Yeah, so they're all good. Okay, I'm having just a terrible time with my mouse. I apologize. There's all kinds of fun stuff. Beth, yes, you are famous. We we think you're very famous here on Tea Time. So it's super fun. Okay, I'm going to talk about just one book and I'm not quite done, so I can't like really I'll give you a full book report on it next week, but it's called Bad Summer People, and I blew through literally 100 pages of this book this morning. It's everything you want in a summer read, just with like, it takes place on, it's not in the Hamptons, but it's like Fire Island. There's a little like place on Fire Island where all these, like, you're not quite the Hamptons people, it's just about people just being bad, just like
It's a great title.
It's really such a good title, and it's just these New York high people who are not quite super high power but think they are. The cattiness of being on an island and like all of the inner stuff that happens in the summer, it's just delicious. And so if you're in the mood for just a quick one, I'm having a blast. I'm only 100 pages, so I'll let you know if it holds up next week.
Excellent.
All right, Gabe, what you got next for us?
My next book is in sticking with the book theme today. And actually, I was looking at the LA Times right now from the weekend, and we have virtually the same list.
Oh, look at you.
Very unoriginal of me.
Look at you.
But the Door-to-Door Bookstore by Karsten Henn.
Oh, I love books about books.
Yeah, books about books. And this is one of those books about books that, again, populated by good characters. We have our protagonist, our main protagonist, our primary protagonist is a local bookseller. And he's, you know how when you are an independent bookseller, you kind of do whatever you want to do. And he'd sort of developed this clientele of people, and he would run the bookstore during the day, and on his way home, he'd grab a couple of packages to deliver, or a package to deliver. And on his way home, he'd stop by and knock on the door and deliver the book in person and have a conversation with the customer. And all very lovely, you know, the evening wanes and he's distributing books and having book conversations, and the people look forward to not only their books, because it's very cool when I mean, even still after 36 years in the biz, I come home and there's a box of books for me from Tom or Andrea or something, and I'm all, I can't wait to open my box. But then you have a conversation with the guy, and talking with people about books is really a lot of fun. And that's what this book does. But then one day he loses his job, and he loses the world that he existed in. And it took me back to, like, I mean, we're kind of in an insular industry, and there people kind of, it's populated by a group of people. And I've had a lot of people who are very involved and very beloved leave this world for another world, or other pastors, or retire, greener pastors, or they retire. And then they're no longer kind of part of this world, and you can't kind of get back into the world. It's really weird. And it's a great world that we exist in publishing. But so it's about this community that has existed, and then because of a whim, because of an economic change, circumstances change, and the community changes. And there's this nine-year-old little girl in the book that it plays a key part in affecting our protagonist to get back into this world. And everybody in town sort of gets caught up in the sort of grassroots movement to reconnect and recreate, not even recreate, but bring back this community that they once had. So it's a really charming book. It sounds, my explanation may not be that great, but it's a real charmer. It's an international bestseller. It's sold in, like, you know, I don't know, 25, 30 territories around the world. It's originally from Germany. And it's one of those, again, feel-good books, good summer read. You're not gonna feel bad after reading this one.
It looks so, I mean, that might have to be next up on my
I
list.
know, for all of us, it hits all of our pleasure zones.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, it is amazing. Sorry, I've got a cough. Hold on. I wasn't sure I could mute myself. It's just amazing that books are just a connector that's unlike any kind of other industry, with just, I mean, you have retail stores that are all, you know, sell clothes, sell makeup, sell this, sell that, but books are just something that's just different. And
Well, I love that it's an international story too. You know,
Yeah.
I think I only know what we're doing right here, but it
Right.
happens
Yeah.
all over the world.
no, that looks like a good one. Thanks, Gabe. Okay, Andrea.
I got so excited that about this book, Gabe, that I spilled sparkling mineral water all over my shirt when you were talking. So
Well, and I was just looking up at the store, and I'm looking, okay, how do I get my hands on it? I'm already looking at it. How do I get my hands on this one?
I'm
Ooh,
gonna talk.
this looks like a goodie.
Yes, especially for Warwicks. This is from Atlantic Monthly Press, which is the sister publisher to Grove Press. I talk about their books a lot, as you know. This is Anne Boleyn and Elizabeth I by Tracy Borman, the great historian and most excellent writer. And this is basically a group bio of the mother and daughter. Of course, Anne Boleyn is known for, you know, her beheading at the hands of her husband, but this book, Borman really shows the connection and brings out like great source material about how Boleyn really did shape world history through her influence on her surviving daughter, who of course became Queen Elizabeth I. And I think that the great influence that Boleyn had, and how she and how Elizabeth I used that called on that influence and called on her mother's traditions that she was taught, etc., really did help shape her reign. And this is going to be surprising even to aficionados of the Tudor household and their legacy. And I just think that this has a shot of doing super well. I mean, the private lives of the Tudors that Borman wrote did really well. At Warwick's, I think that this is another one that is going to have a lot of interest over time, especially through the holiday. What else did she write? She wrote Henry VIII that did well, Crown and Scepter. So this is just another one in a long line of hits for Tracy Borman and her deep interest in, I would say, obsession with the Tudors. So,
But
You
it's a
can't-
really good obsession.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Tudors ever.
you can't. I mean, there's a reason why Hilary Mantel, chose to write about them over the course of, her career and those books that
They're
won.
masterpieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a Tudor book in the wings that's waiting to be read by somebody.
Yeah.
I read
Yeah.
her Crown and Scepter a couple 3 years ago. I really liked it. That's the first of hers I've ever read.
Yeah.
And I had a great packet, so I picked it up.
Yeah.
A nice scope of history of the British monarchy from Hastings on.
Who wrote
Yeah.
that, Gabe?
What's that?
Who wrote that? Did
She did.
She
the
did
same
too,
person?
yeah.
Oh,
Tracy
okay.
Borman.
And then the Private Lives of the Tudors that was published in 2016, that also had a lot of play for people because, you know what happened in history, but we don't know what was going on behind the scenes. And that was, she does excellent research. So
Yeah. I mean, these are two this is like catnip.
yep.
It's like, oh my goodness. All right, Tom.
All right, my second paperback out tomorrow, Bruce Holsinger's The Displacements, which it is a very commercial, fast-paced, page-turning read, and also at the same time completely terrifying because it's about a Category 6 hurricane, which doesn't exist, but
Good.
chances are. And
Yet.
yeah, so that hits Miami and basically destroys Miami. And it's about a family that up until that moment, they seem to have it all. They're very privileged. They are very well-to-do. But the disaster, it's kind of like, I used to love disaster movies. Speaking of the 70s, disaster movies, this kind of has a disaster movie. It's like a very high quality disaster movie. Because the family ends up getting, the parents end up getting separated. The mother and her children end up in a FEMA camp in Oklahoma. And there you see America in all of its class structures, and you see America writ small in this FEMA camp. And it's obviously very eye-opening to the mother who comes from Miami. But it is, he wrote The Gifted School, which was, and thank God, the Gifted School came out just as I think it was the USC scandal was happening, parents paying money, doing all these things. So that it benefited from the news. Thankfully, this book, there was no news. There was no news to accompany this book. But he's really good at taking meaty subjects that are really dealing with our society in all different ways, class, race, but doing it in this very fast-paced, powerful structure. So that's out tomorrow in paperback, The Displacements.
Yeah, he's good. I like the way he writes too.
Yeah,
I
me
really
too.
do.
Yeah,
I really do
okay.
like that. And so yeah, it's kind of a summer read. We're in hurricane season.
I know. I mean, it is.
in a bad way.
If you're prepared for it. Remember all those disaster movies, though? I mean, I did love those.
Love those, man.
Love them.
Earthquake.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I went down to roller coaster. Remember roller coaster?
I remember roller
Side
coaster.
adventure.
Right.
Love the Poseidon Adventure.
Love that song. Yeah.
Does it have to be a morning after?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
know. I
Maureen
love it.
McGovern.
We're even covered. They're aging ourselves. So speaking of, I think Arlene on here was at Ohio State when that Kent Mass when that so the National Guard was on campus. So that 1971 thing, I'm telling you, all of us. Okay, lightning round. Gabe, what you got?
Did you say lightning round?
Oh well, you know, we're gonna be going quick today. So
This is I'm gonna be
I
lightning
see
quick.
extra books on your thing, Gabe.
You know,
I
mine
know,
have
look
been-
at that. He didn't think anyone was gonna show up besides him.
I thought it was gonna be the Gabe
The
show.
game show.
No, I changed my mind so many times, and I just didn't talk about this last week because I missed last week, and it went on sale last week, and I
Yeah.
need to talk about Banyan Moon. So it just, I was like, I was gonna go all book themed, and I thought, no, I got that other book I got to talk about, which I may talk about next week, but I have so many books I may not. But I had to talk about Banyan Moon. Banyan
Yeah.
Moon is our lead read, and every season I've talked about previous books that are all in-house favorites. We picked through a bunch of books, and this is the one that got picked the most votes as the favorite read, and it really is a terrific read. Also got picked by the Today Show book club. I mean, the Read with Jenna book club on the Today Show. So it is a 3 generations of women. We have the youngest, Anna, who is a college student, and she's away at school, having a very privileged life that she's had growing up in America. And she gets word that her grandmother, Min, has passed away. And Min is the woman who raised Anna, and she kind of leapfrogged her mother, who was not around very much and not very accessible. And her mother's name is Wong, and they have a very strained relationship. They're estranged pretty much. She was raised by her grandmother, so as soon as she hears her grandmother died, she flies to Florida for the funeral, and of course Wong is there. And what this death has done is brings these 2 generations of women together, and Min leaves the house, the family house that she scraped to buy with as a single individual woman making her way in America, leaves the house to her daughter and her granddaughter, who don't get along, and they're left to make their peace without their mediator, longtime mediator, Min. So it is the story of these 2 women having to figure their life out as it exists now, both of them missing a chunk of themselves. And then the great second story in the book takes us back to Min's life in Vietnam and who she was, the poverty the world she experienced, having the wherewithal to figure out a way to get to America, getting to America, the things she did, and the way she raised her daughter due to her circumstances. So it's a really beautiful book about 3 generations of women that I'm a guy, but I really appreciated this story. And again, the characters really stood out, and you felt something for each one of these women, and all very brave in their own right. So I thought it was a special book. I thought there's a reason why it was our lead read, and I think deservedly so.
Awesome. Beth Johnson's on here, and she's gonna. How do you say the author's name? Tao.
No.
Beth's already got tickets. I guess she's gonna be in Cleveland in 2 weeks, so she can't wait to see her. So there
Fun.
you go. Already that. And Tom, Arlene's on here. She is reading or read, and I can't go back. Sorry, Arlene. 7 Year Slip.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, that was
Excellent.
one that it looked so good too. The other one, Tom, did you talk about the one that's the What's Left Behind? Is that or something about something being left behind or count? Oh, I don't know. I'll look it up.
Last week.
I
Or-
think it was the one where the husband leaves the wife, and the wife goes back to the little town in a little beach town. I don't know. Never mind.
I don't know. It isn't ringing a bell, but it should.
It should maybe. Andrea save us, and I'll go look it up.
I'll keep thinking.
Okay, I would like to share my screen, but somehow my little thing is not, wow. Okay, so I'm just going to do it this way. I want to talk about, this is the third in these oversized books. the super animals. The first
Right.
one was the largest animals. The second one was builders, and this is the third one in this monumental series, Travelers. And these look so great. $19.95 for these, which is a great price for this
Really
oversized
good
book.
price.
Yeah, and
Really
the
good.
art is great as usual. The science, the science is great. These are this book is from Clavis, which is one of our great Belgian children's
Mm.
publishers. And their list is here's some bird migration. You can see that. And I just love these books. The illustrator is amazing, and look at this crane. I mean, this is great.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have had these books when I was a kid to learn about these different classes of animals. And I just feel like it's, you know, Yule Gibbons Mutual of Omaha in book form. Is that like dating myself? Yes, it is.
Are we
Ooh,
bringing
David,
1971 back in?
Yeah, Mutual Omaha, yeah.
Yes.
I think you put a foot into the 60s there, girl.
I think so too. That might be, yeah.
Well,
might
I
be tipping
watched
back a
them.
little
I
bit.
watched
further.
them in the
I-
70s.
I believe that was Marlon Perkins, wasn't it?
Marlon Perkins.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yule Gibbons is the guy who was the
Great
great
nuts.
Great
He was a
nuts,
great
right.
nuts guy.
Yeah, Marlon Perkins, sorry. And his sidekick Jim, who brought the exotic animals on. Remember? He was always in like his
Jim
safari
Hanna, he's the
suit.
guy from the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah,
Jim Hanna.
Absurd that the safari suit that he would have on.
it's the best.
But it was great because, you know,
We
and this
need
is-
to go
this
back to simpler times.
Yes.
and like this is just perfect. This is a great gift book. I can see grandmas and aunties and uncles and, you know, who's it buying this book for kids. And there's stock on this book in the kids section right now at Warwick's.
Yep. And I loved, even as a kid, but even I
Oh, yeah.
love the oversized books. I love those. I
Yeah,
just think they're
there's
so
just
much
something
fun.
about them.
Yep.
And you know, I just think that people who are building kids bookshelves should always have enough room at the bottom, the big, you know, for the bigger, chunky, like tall books.
That
Yep.
too.
Because those are the best to like lay on the floor on your stomach and just
Yep.
like, go through. Those are the
Totally.
best books. Those are the
Totally.
best one.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, take us home.
These things like Mutual of Omaha, they imprint on us in some really deep way. It's crazy.
I can see the, can you see the like the first thing?
When we're done, I will be Googling that and watching the like the credit sequence. So just to remind myself even
Action
more.
packed.
Right.
It's action packed, that credit sequence.
Before you go any further though, the Rachel incident was, so Beth Doherty's on here. She's reading our, did you read them already? Oh yeah, she read them already. My Murder, which I think is yours, Tom.
Oh yeah, Katie Williams. Yeah.
That's one. It was on a Libro, and I think I bought that one to listen on Libro.
it's a
Wayward,
good
which I
idea, too.
loved, Wayward, and the Rachel incident, which was Steve. So let Steve know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, the Rachel incident.
I finished the Rachel incident on audio.
It's so good, huh?
The whole way through. Loved it. Loved
It was
every-
just another one of those that's like just the juicy. It's just like it's just like
Yeah.
It's a good read. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We digress.
We
Okay,
digress.
so
Okay.
my last paperback out tomorrow is called An Honest Living. And it is the best, it's the best kind of literary mystery. It is set in New York City in the early 2000s. So it takes you back a ways. But like my favorite mysteries, well, it doesn't hurt that it's also set in the world of antiquarian bookselling. Real estate always plays a role in these stories. And the author is the editor-in-chief of Crime Reads. So he is much more than I mean, I love noir and noir books and noir movies, but he knows, he's like an it has encyclopedic knowledge. So it's really a retelling of Chinatown, but set in New York in the 2000s. So
Ooh.
Chinatown was in many ways about real estate. This is too. But then you throw in the antiquarian bookseller, you have a private eye he's not really a private eye, he's a lawyer who's turned private eye. You have obsession. And then there's so many other noir references throughout that it's just fun. It's fun. but very informed and just a really good debut mystery. He has another mystery coming out next week, which is a heist novel. So I think he's the kind of writer who he's on the right track with these books. The title, An Honest Living, I'll take you back to Chinatown. It was a Jake Gittes line. So Jack Nicholson as Jake Gittes says, "Listen, pal," he tells the snooty guy who works in finance, "I make an honest living. People only come to me when they're in a desperate situation." So I think that The Honest Living is the perfect title for the book. So there you have it. So Chinatown, of course, is California noir, but he reset it in New York. And it's really a fantastic depiction of New York in that time period. So
I love it.
Love it.
Love
Who's
it.
the
They gotta have
author?
a good.
Who's the author again?
Dwyer Murphy.
And Tom, for you, Beth Johnson's also, I'd hear that she read the latest Fiona Davis book too. Love that one. And her next one's going to be about the Met, the Egyptian wing, which is, I love the way Fiona Davis, like we talked about, she takes these things in New York. But Beth, if you're interested, okay, what's Andrew showing this? Oh,
Thank you.
My man.
Thank you. There he is.
Oh my God, there he is.
There he is. And here's Jim Fowler, his sidekick out in the field.
I love it.
Beautiful puma.
Look at you, Andrea. This is hilarious.
Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, I
happy
could
that I found that.
And you know what's okay? Bring if you could bring him back up again.
Oh yeah.
Bring him back up. Because I think we're all of the same age. I will guarantee you that he's probably like 65 in this picture. Might even be in his
58. I'd say 58.
I know, it's true.
I know.
And he's probably like 27 and he looks like he's 45.
And wrestling bears. That's why you know he wasn't as old as he looked when he was wrestling that bear and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But he's like probably not even 60.
I know.
Like,
I know.
It's those 3 martini lunches, okay?
yeah. Oh man. I did a few of those.
I miss them. Well, we live longer.
Oh, Diane's on here. Who read the, are any of you the push? Is the push yours, Tom? Okay.
Well, I Ashley Audrain the push.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. She just finished that one. That's a really good one. And her new one's called The Whispers, right?
Right. That's right.
Yeah, the new one's The Whispers. And then but back to you, Beth, if you want to see Fiona Davis, where she's actually going to be interviewed, we're doing a virtual event with her with Janelle Zelinsky, which I think is your author, Gabe. I think Janelle, it's J'_NELL. Is that you, Tom?
I don't think
Zelinsky?
it's me.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's nobody here.
Sometimes I blank. There's so many books.
Yeah, well, and it's a very interesting way that she writes her name. So it's just, anyways, but that's coming. I think we're having them in August together. So look at our calendar because you can see Fiona. I love her.
I mean, I bet fascinating.
Right, because historical fiction and I love Fiona, so that'll be a really good thing to watch. So we're kind of in the slow season for events right now. I survived the June events.
Yeah, you did.
That was something. But we're planning some really good stuff. The big one we got coming in August is Alice Hoffman. So we got her coming at the end of the month. So love me. What's that?
I don't know if she's ever been to LA. I might have missed her. Right?
Yeah, no, she comes to. She kind of likes me a little bit.
With good reason.
Just saying, just a little.
No comfort taste.
Just. Okay, wait a minute. So Amanda's putting up the Janelle Zelinsky. Amanda, tell me, is she? I gotta click on this. Is she a Harper? Now I'm so curious to see if it's a Harper book.
I love bad not knowing.
To Free the Stars is her book. It is a Thomas Nelson, so I don't know who that is.
Oh, it's our HarperCollins Christian, which I don't sell.
Got it. Well, there you go. Well, that explains it then. Okay. Hey everybody, I didn't even mention, but thank you all for coming on. I know you're all on holiday, but like I said in my email to y'all, retail doesn't sleep.
I know, it's true. You're right about that.
We're actually open tomorrow from 10 to 2. So if you need,
and we have books that are on sale tomorrow. So
right. Yeah. So that's kind of why we're open tomorrow.
Right.
And so if you're having that jonesing for a book, you can come to Warwick's between 10 and 2 tomorrow.
And now that it's July, I feel like we're, obviously deep into summer, and fall is around the corner
And
now.
fall's got there's some really good stuff. Going to talk.
I know. We have some great books between now and then, but
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys. There's everybody's adding to their TBR lists. There's lots of good books. And I love giving some TV recs every once in a while because we got to do some other things besides reading, but most of my day is consumed with reading. All right. Happy 4th of July. Thank you all for coming in. Stay safe. Stay away from fireworks tomorrow.
Back with all your digits.
California. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oops. Wait a minute. Now, see, this is where I'm going to have trouble. Let's see if I can.